Welcome back to the Criminal Motives Podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Pfeiffer. If you enjoy true crime and staying up to date in the news, be sure to hit the like, share, subscribe, and the bell notification so you're notified each and every time I upload a new video. I upload videos on my channel 2 times a week, one true crime video, and another video where I break down the weekly news. Today's video, we're going to be talking about the murder of Abraham Shakespeare. He's a person who found himself in a lot of trouble after winning the lottery. Also, be sure to subscribe to my newsletter, where I'll send you updates not only on this story, but also on other true crime stories and current events. With all that being said, let's get today's show started. This man won $30 million playing the lottery, but unfortunately that ended up being his biggest blessing and also his biggest curse. His name is Abraham, and Abraham really wanted to live a humble, simplistic, minimalist life. He didn't want for a lot, he didn't ask for a lot, and Abraham really enjoyed giving back to other people. One day, him and his friend Mike, who's also a trucker, were on the road together and made a stop at a mini mart in a small city in Florida. Mike looked over at Abraham and said, "Hey, you want anything while I'm in there?" And Abraham looked back and said, "Yeah, grab me 2 lottery tickets," and handed him the money to grab the lottery tickets. Abraham then goes home and watches the lottery on TV. You know, like the little ping pong balls our parents and grandparents used to watch every night. And as each ping pong ball dropped, Abraham was like, "Damn, these numbers on the screen look a lot like the numbers on my ticket." Abraham wasn't sure, but he believed that he had won the lottery. Abraham still doesn't quite believe it, so he takes the lottery ticket over to his cousin Ashley's house. He was like, "Ashley." And Ashley was like, "Yeah? Can you look at this? What does this mean?" And handed her the ticket. Ashley was like, "Abraham, you won $30 million. And Abraham was like, "Oh, okay. I wasn't sure, and I just wanted to check with someone I could trust." So Ashley told him, "You need to go down to Tallahassee to cash this in. Don't stop anywhere. Don't tell anyone. Go cash this in Tallahassee." Before I go on, there's a reason why Abraham went to Ashley to verify that he won. First of all, he trusts her. But there's also another very important reason that I'm going to get into later, so make sure you pay attention. So Abraham goes down to Tallahassee, cashes in the lottery ticket, chooses to get paid all in one lump sum rather than getting paid in payments. So after everything was said and done, Abraham ends up with $12,000 of the $30,000 in winnings. At first, Abraham was still living the same life that he was living before. He was still living with his mom, and he still went to his best friend Greg's barbershop to clean, sweep, and mop every single day, even though he was a millionaire. Abraham continued to live the life that he was living. He enjoyed his life before winning the lottery, and he initially wasn't making any big purchases or anything. But over time, Abraham decided to buy some things for himself. He bought 3 major purchases. A used car, which everyone says wasn't anything flashy, but it was something very special to him. He bought a Rolex watch, but even the Rolex watch that he bought was bought from a pawn shop. And he bought a 5,000 square foot mansion for $1 million. One day, he met a stranger named Centuria at a party, and Abraham asked her at the end of the night, "Where are you going after this?" Centuria said, "I might be sleeping in my car tonight." And Abraham said back to her, "Well, you can stay here until you get on your feet." Keep in mind, he had just met this person at the party, and he's now allowing for this person to move in. And these are the type of things that Abraham was doing, not only for friends, not only for family, but even strangers. But like I said before, Abe and Centuria really hit it off and they started dating, and the 2 of them ended up having a baby. Abraham was really excited about being a dad, and he really enjoyed taking care of his family. It seemed like a lot of things in Abraham's life were really working out in his favor. But Abraham had a problem. As giving as Abraham was, he also struggled with setting boundaries and telling people no. So people started hitting him up for money. And I'm not talking about just friends and family, but also strangers. People were coming to him for help to pay their mortgages, their funeral expenses. Everyone had an emergency, and everyone was coming to Abe to solve their financial issues. But as you can imagine, this started to get out of hand, and it started to get out of hand fast. Strange things started to happen, like random women pulling up to his house and saying that God led them to him. There was another scenario where his trucker friend Mike, the one he was with when he bought the lottery ticket, tried to sue Abraham. Mike tried to convince the court that Abraham stole the ticket. Ultimately, Abraham ended up winning, but it was another overwhelming situation from his overnight wealth. The money was becoming more and more frustrating. So much so that Abraham one day at the barbershop told his best friend Greg, "I wish I didn't even have any of this money." Then one day he met a woman named Dee Dee. Dee Dee seemed very smart and ambitious. She had her own money, she was a businesswoman, and well respected in the community. At first, Dee Dee just wanted to write a book about Abraham, and Abraham agreed. But this is where things really start to get interesting. The more involved Dee Dee got with Abraham, the closer she became, not just as an author, but she also became his financial advisor. And at first, everything seemed okay. Dee Dee started helping Abraham organize his finances. She started to collect money that he had loaned out to people. But after a while, things started to get a little weird. She started to do weird things like recording their conversations. She was asking him weird questions on camera, and people who knew Abraham and saw the video recordings noticed how frustrated and overwhelmed that Abraham looked on the videos. And then, out of nowhere, Abraham just disappeared. So people around town started talking, like, "Where's Abe at?" Rumors started to swirl. Now keep in mind, Abe is pretty much an icon in his city at this point. And so people are really starting to talk like, where the hell is Abe at? And at first, everyone just kind of thought that Abe was just sick and tired of people asking him for money and that he was taking a break and that he was just off the grid. But this went on for weeks. But one person started to realize that something was off. Centauria. Even though her and Abe were no longer together, they co-parented well and Abe was a good father to their son. So when Abe wasn't contacting and wasn't keeping up with his visits, this set some alarms off with Centauria. So between Centauria and Abe's family, they start to get worried and Abe's cousin puts out a missing persons report. But at this point, police aren't convinced that anything bad has happened. They were still under the impression that Abe was just trying to get away from the people who were using him for his money. Some people even thought that maybe Abraham just completely left the country. But then, out of nowhere, Abe's friends and family started to get text messages from Abraham. For example, Centauria got a text message from Abraham saying that he was leaving her for another woman and that he was going with her to the Bahamas. Abraham's cousin Ashley got a text message from him saying that he was fine and whatever you do, do not file a missing police report. But when Ashley read her message, she started to get a little suspicious. She immediately realizes that this is not Abraham who's texting her. Do you remember when I told you that Abraham went to Ashley to read to him the lottery ticket for two reasons? The first being that he trusted her. Well, the second reason is that Abraham couldn't read or write. Ashley oftentimes would read things for Abraham. It might be something as serious as a document, or it could be something as simple as a birthday card. But either way, Abraham trusted Ashley to read and write for him. So when Ashley saw the text messages and saw the way that they were written, she immediately knew this isn't Abraham. But if it's not Abraham, who the hell is it? So police start to investigate and they make their rounds and eventually make their way over to Dee Dee. Investigators are like, Dee Dee? Where's Abraham? And Dee Dee was like, oh my God, Abraham? Like Abraham Shakespeare? Oh my God, he's doing perfectly fine. I talk to him all the time. We're in contact with each other every day. As a matter of fact, let me text him and let him know that you're looking for him. And then Dee Dee sends a text message to Abraham. Police sit there and wait, but surprise, surprise, there's no response from Abraham. And Dee Dee was like, well, once I hear from him, I'll let you know when a good time for us all to get together is. I'll let you know by tomorrow morning. But here's where things get interesting. Even though Dee Dee couldn't connect police with Abraham, she did play the video recordings that she made of him months prior. Specifically the parts where Abraham was saying that he planned on leaving town. Then one day, Abraham's mom was having dinner at the Cracker Barrel. She gets a phone call. She looks down at the caller ID and oh my God, it's Abraham. So she answers the phone. And Abraham on the other line says, hey Mom, I love you. I miss you. and I'll be home soon. And at first, Abraham's mom was relieved. But after the excitement started to settle in, she started to question whether or not it was really actually Abraham on the other end. Because even though it sounded very similar to Abraham, she didn't feel like it was genuinely him. One quick thing I forgot to mention, when Abraham's mom received the phone call from Abraham, she happened to be out to dinner with Dee Dee. And when she received the call, Dee Dee was on the other side of the table. See? He called you. He must be okay. Even though Abraham's mom didn't feel like everything was 100% right. So police traced the phone call, and they traced the phone call back to a local mall. And you're not going to believe who was on the other line.
I feel like I can't breathe. I'm losing it. Nothing is going right. I wish I could just disappear. I wish this would end. This is too much. I'm exhausted.
Hey, Marley. Why don't you walk me through what happened?
I had another panic attack earlier. Can we go over some more grounding techniques?
So police trace the phone call and they trace it back to a local mall, and you're not going to believe who was on the other line. Police drive over to the local mall, and as soon as they pull in, so does Dee Dee. She gets out and walks over to another guy in a car, hands him a stack of cash. The car leaves and investigators go and follow. They pull the car over and they tell the man in the car, you have two options. You can either park your car and get out and come with us, or you're going to prison for the rest of your life. So the guy gets out, gets into the police car, and they drive down to the police station. And the person that they were questioning was Abraham's best friend, the owner of the barbershop, Greg Smith. Greg tells investigators that Dee Dee gave him $350 to call Abraham's mom and sound like Abraham to try and help her grieve Abraham being missing. Greg said that he didn't necessarily feel right about it, but he also thought that this was a way of helping Abraham's mom feel better. Then Greg tells police officers, I think that Abraham's dead. The investigator said back to him, we think so too. Then Greg and police work out a deal for Greg to become an informant. Police wanted to use him to get information from Dee Dee. So Greg and Dee Dee meet a few more times and plan on meeting at a hotel. This time, Dee Dee wants Greg's help with writing a letter to Abraham's mom. So she gets to the hotel with a laptop, a printer, and she's also dressed head to toe in surgical gear. She had on gloves, scrubs, a mask, and her hair was pulled into a hairnet, presumably so she didn't leave behind any fingerprints or any DNA. The letter they ended up putting together ended up being about 6 or 7 pages. But don't forget, Abraham struggles with reading and writing. So Greg and investigators put together an elaborate plan to get Dee Dee to show them where Abraham's body is. And she does exactly that. She hands Greg the gun that she shot Abe with and takes him to where Abraham's body was buried, under a concrete slab on a country road out at one of her properties. At that point, police had everything that they needed. They arrested Dee Dee and she was charged with first-degree murder. During her trial, she was found guilty and is now doing life without the possibility of parole. She was recently interviewed and still claims her innocence. She says that a drug dealer named Ronald was the one that killed Abraham, but it has been verified that Ronald does not exist. And this was just another one of Dee Dee's lies. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy true crime with a touch of mental health, be sure to subscribe, like, and share, and hit the bell notification so you're notified each and every time I upload a new video. Also in the description, be sure to subscribe to my newsletter where I'll update you not only on this case, but also other true crime stories.